Hey guys, Roar Martial Jiu-Jitsu. I'm here at my school, Gracie Schwartzwald, and I just wanted to cover an observation I had. Not too long ago, some of my students competed in a tournament in Karlsruhe here in Germany, and it was enlightening to watch how people competed. You know, I've competed over the years since 2000, 2001, and you know, small tournaments to very large tournaments, and you know, I've seen all different styles and all different ways of coaching, and pretty much anything you can imagine over the years. And my comments here won't be about German Jiu-Jitsu. This is true of U.S. Jiu-Jitsu, or I'm sure any other place. But it just kind of struck me of a few things. One is there was a lot of, so one thing I try never to do as a coach is use the words never or always, right? Even though, yes, I know I just said never. I think anytime a coach says always do it this way or never do this, I think they're not a good coach, right? If there is no always or anything or never, right? Every one of my students, they should know the answer. I say, what's the best technique or what's the best version of this? There isn't one. It depends. It depends. And I've spoken about this many times, right? So if I say, always do the arm bar this way, or never give your back up when you're escaping, or never, whatever. There's always going to be reasons that that rule doesn't work. And yet, a lot of coaches with more techniques than ever seem to be funneling their students into fewer and fewer techniques. Okay, and I've spoken about this before, and I'm just going to give this quick anecdote of I remember rolling with this person here in Germany, and they had trained at this other jiu-jitsu school, and I put them in my guard, closed guard, and they had obviously been taught that you always stand to pass. And this is very common now. Never pass from the knees, it's slow, which I'll get into as a topic another time. But also, only stand if you're holding the sleeve of one of the arms. So basically, I was just able to hide my arms, and they couldn't grab my arm, which meant they couldn't stand, which meant they couldn't open my guard, which meant they couldn't pass my guard. So with all the different guard passes and all the different ways to do this, they were funneled down to one problem, right? And if I stopped one option, if I stopped that option, they were stuck, and they had no idea what to do. They even said so. I don't know what to do. And I found this absolutely amazing, right? And so I had to teach them, you can actually pass from your knees. You actually don't need the sleeve. And they'd never seen these kind of ways to open the guard. And so what happens is you get somebody who maybe trains at a variety of schools, and every coach is saying, always do this, never do this, always do this, and never do this. What happens is, one, they get a ton of conflicting information. And this is a reason that I don't think lower belts should cross-train at other schools, right? This is a very, very controversial topic, right? And I don't think you should do it for a very simple reason, right? It creates, and I've spoken about this before, it creates what I call the schizophrenic student, right? Somebody who's taught at one school, because the problem is people look at jiu-jitsu now as just a collection of techniques, right? Now I'll just pick this technique and this technique from this place, and these guys are good at this, and these guys are good at this, and now I've taken the best from all these different places, and I'm really good, right? But that's kind of like saying, I'm going to take the best, ingredient from here, and the best ingredient from here, and the best ingredient from here, and put it together. Well, it might taste horrible because, the best cinnamon with the best, ground beef with the best something, ice cream on it, they won't necessarily mix together, right? Just because they're the best doesn't mean anything. What you need, what a good coach will do, is he teaches holistically, right? He'll explain to you, how things fit together, and he'll find your game, and he'll say, okay, well, you're good at this, takedown, maybe it leads into these positional options, which lead into these submission options, right? Versus, I like this takedown, but I also like this pass, but they don't fit together at all. But they're the best takedown or the best pass according to some coach. And so I really saw that on display. At the tournament, we had guys who were doing a lot of moves, but they were very disconnected to each other. And I think it was because, they're taught the best version of X and the best version of the sweep, or the best sweep and the best pass. But just because you're teaching what you think are the best, there's no connection between them. And of course, the other interesting thing was just there are very few takedowns. One of my students was just, even though I'd explained to my students many times, they were just baffled because this, one of the first tournaments they've ever been to. He's just like, nobody's trying to take down. They're just all pulling guard. And that's again because for many schools, you only learn takedowns if you're going to do MMA. Otherwise, you pull guard. But if you teach with a self-defense mindset, you better learn how to take down or defend takedowns. I'm not saying there were none. There were a few very good guys with takedowns, but most of the time it was just a guard pull. But the one that really struck me was I saw a few times guys, and they were doing like what is it called? The electric chair sweep, half guard, hook under the leg, roll them over, right? Great position. You're right into basically an over-under position, very tight pass position. Would make sense to go to some kind of pass like that. Yet they would immediately stand up, back out, and start trying to do a Toriando type pass. Right? And it's obvious that it was because that sweep was a very powerful sweep for them, but they were also told to always stand to pass. So even though they were already tight in, the mindset was, no, you have to stand to pass. So back out, start grabbing the legs, start trying to Toriando around. And so that's what I mean by kind of a schizophrenic style. It made no sense to me. They'd already gone from a tight position to a loose position to then try to get back to a tight position. So, if you're training, once you get to purple belt or brown belt, and I'm not saying, by when I say don't cross train, I mean, if you go visit your friends' schools from time to time, yeah, that's not a problem. I'm just saying if you do 2 days a week at this school, 2 days a week at that school, 2 days a week at this school, you're most likely going to be really confused, right? One guy's telling you to pass the guard by just grabbing a leg, going for a leg. Another guy's telling you to pass by, always being quick and run around. Another guy's telling you to be passed by being tight and close. Another guy is telling you to focus on your defense. Another guy is telling you, no, you have to always be offensive. As a white or blue belt, you've already got enough that's confusing. That's going to be really confusing. You need to have one coach that really, a coach who actually cares about you and pays attention, who will see what your game is and help you to figure out your game, but make it, again, a connected, holistic style versus just kind of a schizophrenic style of, a la carte menu, buffet style. Grab the shrimp and throw it on top of your, spaghetti bolognese, and then throw some, salad on top of that, and then throw some ice cream on top of that. That's just my opinion, but it's pretty obvious that I'm seeing a lot of people sort of falling prey to the style of jiu-jitsu. The problem is, because there's not a connection between those techniques, what happens is those gaps are usually made up by just raw power and speed and force. You have to use a lot of athleticism to cover up for those gaps, right? Or those not really knowing how to connect these things, and that leads to exhaustion, and exhaustion leads to failure. So, anyway, just a couple observations that I've had.